Hello, everyone. I'm Faahad Kabir, and today we'll be talking about projective verse, the Black Arts movement in hip hop. Now, a fair warning, this presentation does contain explicit lyrics. Now, without further ado, let's get started. The question: how did the projective verse and the Black Arts movement influence the genre of hip hop? Now, before we tackle this question, first, we're going to have to do a brief review of the relevant points on those two poetic theories, starting with the projective verse. Now, Charles Olson, who founded the projective verse and composition by field, he sought to take energy directly from the source. He wanted the audience of the reader of the poem to be able to feel that energy, the same energy that the poet felt when the poet wrote the poem. In other words, he wanted the poem to be able to deliver the true energy and true feeling of the poem without any of that energy getting lost in the reading or construction of the words. And he believed that this energy was shaped by sound and not description. And thus, he was not a fan of simile or description or imagery. Instead, he believed that controlling the breath is what shaped sound and therefore what shaped energy. He believed controlling the breath and the delivery and the syllables and the emphasis was key to deliver the true energy and intent of the poem to the audience. Now, when it comes to traditional written works, this was often done by using clever spacing, line breaks, changing of words in order to manipulate the voice in the reader's mind and control the way that they recite it in their head. Because of this, you see that performance poetry is a natural extension of the projective verse as it cuts out the middleman. Rather than attempting to force the reader to frame it and deliver it in a certain way in their head, performance poetry allowed the reader to recite it exactly the way that they envisioned, thus allowing the audience to get the full force, full energy, full intention of the poet as Olson wanted to do. Regarding the Black Arts movement, the Black Arts movement is often called the spiritual sister of the Black Power movement. Now, those two coexisted from the 1960s to the 1970s. The Black Arts movement was uniquely Black American, centered around Black American perspectives, was essentially exclusively Black American, and a celebration of the culture. It was also very confrontational and critical of the power structure, the white-centric American power structure that oppressed and still oppresses African Americans, Black Americans today. And this was a narrative, a movement that brought attention to the institutionalized racism and the struggles of Black people in America. As such, it was very populist and relatable to the masses, it resonated with the common people, with the common Black people in America, who before this, they didn't have that many avenues of art and mainstream art that really resonated with them. They were underrepresented. But with the Black Arts movement, this allowed them a voice. It felt like they were being heard, like people understood them, and that's why the Black Arts movement was very powerful. It really tapped into a feeling of angst and desire for attention and need for the spotlight and illuminating all the things that happened in injustices. It was a long time coming, and the Black Arts movement, along with the Black Power movement, was a perfect time to really be a huge cultural development for Black people in the mainstream. So back to the question, how did the projective verse and the Black Arts movement influence the genre of hip hop? Well, if not created, it laid the foundation and paved the way for hip hop. Without the projective verse and without the Black Arts verse, without either of them, hip hop would not be able to exist. Hip hop was built off of them. When we look at the ancestral artists like Gil Scott-Heron, The Last Poets, black performance poets like that, who existed at the height, or who were had the biggest influence at the height of the Black Arts movement, and they took a lot of their ideals from Olson's projective verse for the reasons I outlined previously, in that they use breath manipulation and their emphasis, along with their music, to really get the message across to their audience. Now, these core values are reflected in hip hop. When you look at hip hop, some of the core values are the Black experience, the flow, energy, and protest. Now, Black experience and protest, of course, are taken directly from the roots in the Black Arts movement. While flow and energy, flow is what in rap they call the manipulation of breath and syllables, and the intentional placement of words and how you're going to deliver them. And that makes way into energy. Flow and energy are connected in that way, and you could see that that is a direct rip of some of the ideas outlined in Olson's projective verse. That is, delivery being the most important avenue of reaching your audience. Now, we're going to look at 3 different examples and how projective verse and the Black Arts movement influence these songs. There's 3 different songs by 3 different artists. The first is a song called Rapper's Delight by a group called the Sugar Hill Gang. And this is actually the first hip-hop record, which is why it's a great example. You might recognize it. Let's take a listen to the intro. I said a hip hop, the hip it to the hip hop, you don't stop the rocker to the bang bang boogie, say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. So regarding the projective verse and the breath and energy, you can see there are clear breaks in breath, emphasis on chosen syllables. It's all intentional. They choose where to do it. Now they use the beat actually as a tool to help with the breath manipulation and stressing of the syllables. It's another tool for the projective verse. Let's take another listen. Now what you hear is not a test. I'm rapping to the beat. Right there. He doesn't say, and what you hear is not a test. He says, and what you hear is not a test, because he is intentionally choosing where to hit those syllables. Like he says later, I'm rapping to the beat, right? He's using that beat to employ exactly and intentionally where to hit those syllables in order to get that energy to reach the audience. Now, regarding the Black Arts movement, and we'll see this, we'll go into this on the next slide. This song paints Black culture in the day-to-day, in that it makes a lot of references to things that may not be inherently Black, but with the context of the song and the narrator, you could tell that a lot of the situations that the rapper paints is much more relatable for, a minority living in New York City than it would be for a white man living in the suburbs. And there's also a very funny and interesting line and series of lines and situations about Lois Lane and Superman, and we'll talk about how that relates to rebelling against the oppressive system. So over here, see what I'm talking about here with you have slang like fly, references to Muhammad Ali and nice cars and color TV, watching the Knicks playing basketball, money, Rucker Park, getting some spank, more slang, deaf. All these things, they might separately maybe won't be inherently Black, but all together and in the context, again, it's more relatable. And this is why it's not hyper-specific. It could be anyone. But you could tell the way it's rapping, the slang used, the narrator, you could tell why it's accessible to the common Black man, just the Black man who's out there living in his day-to-day. Can listen to a song like this, and it can pertain to him. You can relate. Now, regarding this side over here, in this situation, the narrator meets Lois Lane, Superman's love interest. Lois Lane tells the rapper that Superman is her boyfriend. Now, instead of being scared off, the rapper talks smack to Superman about Superman, calls him a sucker, and proceeds to try to bed down Lois Lane right out from under Superman. So while this might not be a conscious aggressive attack on the white system as such, it is clearly influenced, at least on the subconscious level, to rebelling against the ordained system of how things are. That is, the rapper finding Lois Lane, a white woman of prestige, and he's trying to steal her away from her man, who is a white man. Not just any white man, is the most powerful white man ever to exist. It's Superman, right? Um, and he goes and he talks smack about Superman and tries to steal her out from under. Now, again, this is like giving a little bit of lip, a little bit of rebellion to the white power structure that exists. This is clearly something that shouldn't do. That is taboo. Stealing someone's woman, and not only that, it's Superman, American icon Superman, and he's making a fool out of him, and that is no coincidence. And you'll see imagery and references like that all across hip hop as you look into it. Now, next song we're going to be talking about is Song 33 by a female rapper named No Name. Now, she was a great rapper. She talks and raps about very important conscious things. She's huge. She's what people call woke, and that she talks about social and political reform and very important things. And if you haven't heard of her, please give her a listen. Now, regarding projective verse, we talked about breath control with the last song. We're going to be talking about diction over here. Now, there's not too much simile or imagery. There is a little bit, but the meaning is felt with delivery. That is, there's a direct narrative about important concepts and events that No Name is trying to tell you about. And the meaning is felt with the way she succinctly says these sentences. And it's not about the metaphors or wordplay. It's about telling you and it hitting you and you listening to what she's saying. Now, regarding the Black Arts Movement, again, the song is a social and political narrative. It's very important. It references an activist who was murdered earlier this year. This activist was active during the George Floyd protests. And then she was murdered shortly after, and No Name wants to bring attention to these kinds of things and bring justice to this. She also criticizes other rap icons, specifically J. Cole, for their silence during the George Floyd killing and the protests afterwards. And the reason this relates to the Black Arts Movement is this truly is the heart of the Black Arts Movement and the roots of it. And that's using art as a platform for political and social reform, holding people accountable, and doing anything you can to bolster your community and help your people. Now, this is No Name, and on the left side over here, this is her entire song, Song 33, the entirety of the song. And I'll play a little bit and we can follow along.
Oh, I have ambitions, dreams. But dreams don't come cheap.
I saw a demon on my shoulders, looking like patriarchy, like scrubbing blood off the ceiling and bleaching another carpet. How my house get haunted, while Toyin body don't embody all the life she wanted. The baby just 19, I know I dream all black. I seen her everything, immortalizing tweets all caps. They say they found her dead. One girl missing, another one girl missing. One girl missing, another, but niggas.
So over there, like I mentioned before, there's a little bit of imagery and symbolism here, but really where it gets heavy, where the heat is at, is starting here, directly referencing Toyin, this activist who was murdered. Immediately doing that, this line is what hits me personally, is very succinct, very short, a baby just 19. And just bringing attention. So blunt, it's not too flowery. It's not flowery at all. It's just saying she was a child. She was just 19. Except it's the way she says it, intentionally trying to bring some importance to the message. Also over here, like I said before, she is calling out other artists for their silence. Over here in the back, quiet as a church mouse. This is a big one. When George was begging for his mother, saying he couldn't breathe, you thought to write about me? and she is criticizing the fact that other rappers such as J. Cole are replying to her and her criticisms rather than trying to enact justice when there are worse things to worry about. And again, it's just holding people accountable and trying to do whatever she can to help her community and bring justice. Now, this next artist and this next song, very, very famous, very important, possibly the most famous artist in hip hop right now, very famous song, and in my opinion, perfectly epitomizes hip hop regarding the Projective verse and the Black Arts movement both. Let's take a listen to this intro of All Right. You might recognize this one as well.
All's my life I has to fight, nigga. All's my life I hard times like, yeah. Bad trips like, yeah. Nazareth, I'm fucked up, homie, you fucked up. But if God got us, then we gon' be alright.
Nigga, we gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. Do you hear me? Do you feel me? We gon' be alright.
Yeah, so that's Kendrick Lamar and Pharrell Williams with All Right. So regarding the Projective verse, again, we'll see more on the second page. I'll go more in depth. But Kendrick Lamar really does an impressive change in breath, syllable, emphasis, rapid fire. And he employs this device to really almost overwhelm his audience with just lyrics and info in a rapid fire, aggressive way. And then he stops it all at once. And there's like a vacuum, and then he brings it back in. And that really hooks the audience and makes them listen. But regarding the Black Arts movement, again, this song as well, it's a social and political narrative, huge on that, calling for social justice. It's about being black in America and the black plight. Even here in the background, when you could see this is the album cover for the entire album, Kendrick Lamar, who's from Compton, a poor neighborhood, rife with gang violence and everything, what it's infamous for. He goes and he took all of his friends from there and got a picture with them. And then in the backdrop, he put the White House. And he has a white man here with X's over his eyes. Now, this is definitely a narrative of black people's relationship with the power structure in America. And the song and the entire album reflects that as well. So this song actually was used a lot during the Trayvon Martin protests as a sign of unity and hope. The song is called All Right. And as you heard, the chorus is "We gon' be all right." So people are rallying behind this as a sign of we're going to be okay. We'll make it through this. We made it through everything. We made it through everything so far. We'll make it through this as well. Because of that, again, there's a mass relatability that comes to that almost all Black Americans can resonate with. And a lot of Black people, even non-American, can resonate with that, being that they were always a victim of some sort of oppression or another. Now regarding the Projective verse, here again, Kendrick Lamar just puts on a very impressive performance. Rapid fire, filling your head and mind with this information and these lyrics about a subject. In this case, the subject in this small section is about being black and successful in capitalist America and the hardships of that. Let's take a listen.
My name is Lucy, I'm your dog. Motherfucker, you can live at the mall. I can see the evil, I can tell it. I know it's illegal, I don't think about it. I deposit every other zero, thinking of my partner. Put the candy, painting on a Rico, digging in my pocket. In a profit big enough to feed you every day. My logic, get another dollar just to keep you in the presence of your Chico. I don't talk about it, be about it. Every day I sequel. If I got it, then you know you got it. Heaven, I can reach you. Pet dog, my dog, that's all. Pick back and chat, I trap the back for y'all. I rap, I black on tracks, so rest assured. My rights, my wrongs, I right till I'm right with God.
So again, like I said earlier, you could see he doesn't say, I can see the evil, I can tell. He says, I can see the evil, I can tell, I know when it's illegal. Right? He goes to sharp, hard kind of points of emphasis, the way he delivers that. And he does that the whole way, basically without a breath, just to assail almost the audience. until he gets to this part, and he just pauses, and there's this vacuum, and everyone's waiting for him to start again, and then he goes back in and just draws you back into it, and then again he changes it here with pet dog, right? He changes that, and that change that keeps coming, and you heard this is very different than the intro that I played last slide, and it's this change that keeps the audience coming back for more, right? It's always fresh, and it's what reaches the audience. From Olson's perspective, this is how you reach the audience. This is how you get that energy from them. Reading the lyrics is very different than hearing Kendrick Lamar rap it to you. Now, the final important point that I want to go over is the biases against hip-hop. So hip-hop, rap, is often not credited as an important literary art. There's a few reasons for that. It's strange because, as I said, hip-hop and rap, they tackle very important concepts, current events, things that are shaking the ground now, things that are ever relevant. They employ very impressive form or deliveries, yet it's still not given the merit of high literary art. And that's because, simply enough, there's an institutionalized racism against black people in black culture, which shouldn't be a surprise, as I outlined in this presentation and in the Black Arts Movement. That exists, and that has existed for all of black people's existence in this country, is that institutionalized racism against them. Now, some points of how the power structure is uncomfortable around black culture is when you see the things in rap, the common tropes in rap, slang, profanity, references to drugs, references to sex, material wealth. All of these things are off-putting to the mindset of the power structure, to the mainstream mindset, right? It makes them uncomfortable. Now, why some black people might rap about this is because a lot of times this is what they grew up around. People are products of their environments, and a lot of times these rappers are self-aware of this, but it just goes over the head of those mainstream people who dismiss it. They literally hear a mention of a sexual reference or a curse word, and they dismiss it as something uncivilized, right? But that's truly a racist sentiment to feel like. You ignore all of the important literary aspects and cultural aspects of a work of art because of your own sensibilities, right? Because you're sensitive of hearing this or hearing that. And then you dismiss them as lesser than you, and you are morally superior for some arbitrary reason. That's what often happens. Another reason, and this is a simple enough reason, is that they threaten the power structure in rap. You can hear it in rap. They go against white America, the rich, and there's a clear reason why the power structure wouldn't want to elevate them on a platform, because you don't want to give your enemies the spotlight, right? And finally, that brings me to the hypocritical indulgence by the mainstream. All this being said, hip-hop and rap is still very, very popular, possibly easily the most popular genre of music in America right now, possibly worldwide. And it's hypocritical because power structure, such as large corporations or the political parties, they'll play rap in their commercials and put hashtag BLM, but when it comes to it, their policies don't reflect that. Even though they indulge in it, they reap the benefits of black culture and society, they're hesitant to ever give them a platform or a chance to improve and actively work against them, even still. So, to cover it all up, to recap the overview. The question: how did the projective verse and the Black Arts Movement influence the genre of hip-hop? Well, the projective verse and the Black Arts Movement paved the way for hip-hop, and the latter was built off of the fundamental values of those two poetic theories. The songs Rapper's Delight by the Sugar Hill Gang, Song 33 by No Name, and All Right by Kendrick Lamar highlight the core values that were founded and pioneered by Olsen's projective verse and the Black Arts Movement through their utilization of breath, delivery, celebration of Black culture, and political narrative. Now, hip-hop and rap are not given the proper credit as an important literary art form due to institutionalized racism and an aversion to criticism of the power structure. All right, I hope this was informative to you all, and that is the end of my presentation. Thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.